In Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, The Sith Lords, the character Kreia is an agent of chaos. Allow me to explain, but you should know that this is going to be one of my more opinionated videos. If you are a believer in fate, that is to say that you believe that all events within the universe are predetermined and planned, then you will not agree with the opinions expressed in this video. I'm going to tell you how Kreia wanted to introduce a little anarchy to the Star Wars universe, and why I don't believe in fate, or more accurately, why I don't want to believe in fate. I believe that our universe is built upon chaos, chance, and randomness, and that we, as sapient beings, attempt to bring order to it for our own sake. It's the only way a society could exist. Through our governments we create and enforce laws. Through our cultures and religions we instill morals and norms, both of which are instruments to maintain a certain status quo. We even see it in how we perceive romantic relationships. You often see this phrase reinforced in our media and quoted by people around us. There's someone out there for everyone. Anyone who takes the time to ponder this statement will come to the conclusion that, logistically alone, it cannot be true. Even if it is true, there's no guarantee that you would ever come into contact with this person. That's why you can see this idea as an attempt to bring some kind of order to our universe. In the Star Wars universe, you have the Force, an ultimate figure of order. Order and chaos are two opposing forces that are often characterized as good and bad respectively. But that isn't necessarily so. You see, our universe may be chaotic, but it's that chaos that affords us a little thing called freedom. In a world of rigid order, whatever happens was always meant to happen for a specific reason and couldn't have happened any other way. Vazaz Mar lived a life of perpetual order. She could literally see it. Darth Nihilus made her see the other extreme. Without the Force, everything is chaos. It took the exile to show her that it really isn't such a negative thing.
And where they look at you and see the death of the Force, I look at you and see hope for all life. I look at you and see that perhaps a life untouched by the Force is not the punishment it is believed to be.
So she understands that whether light...
What happens now shall not be done out of hate or revenge, but for the sake of all life. And I ask you finally to forgive me.
Or dark.
From the death of an entire world comes great power. My hands shall be hate, my eyes revenge. You shall be avenged, and the one who has done this shall die.
She has the freedom of choice in a world without the Force.
This body is a prison no longer.
I ran a poll on the channel asking, is Kreia an agent of chaos or order? I asked this question even though I was already pretty certain of the outcome, just not by how much. As you can see, 61% voted for neither. Star Wars is often seen as a universe telling stories of the fight between light and dark, Jedi and Sith. So it stands to reason that the character of Kreia, who walks neither path, would also be disassociated with order and chaos. However, the Sith don't represent chaos. If they were truly a force of chaos, then they wouldn't have rules, hierarchies, and standing military forces. The Sith simply represent a different kind of order than the Jedi and the Republic. On the one hand, chaos is pandemonium, randomness, and senselessness, but on the other, it's freedom, evolution, and emotions. There is another franchise that explores chaos in a similar fashion to how I'm talking about it. In it, chaos is represented as a tangible and intangible force simultaneously. I am of course talking about the Warhammer universe. In Warhammer, there are 4 beings known as the Chaos Gods. As beings of chaos, they represent all the things that we would consider negative, as well as all the things that we would consider positive, brought about due to chaos. Khorne represents war, hatred, and murder, but also represents courage, strength, and honor in combat. Nurgle represents disease and decay, but also rebirth and the lack of xenophobia. By xenophobia I mean its original meaning, fear of the unknown. Slanesh represents pain and hedonism, but also pleasure and passion. Lastly, we have the Tzeentch. If Kreia was part of the Warhammer universe and somehow worshipped the Chaos God, it would be Tzeentch, a being of manipulation that represents lies, trickery, and destiny, while simultaneously representing knowledge, evolution, and change. In a world of pure order, there is no such thing as change, therefore nothing evolves, and the only knowledge you have is the knowledge you are meant to have. There is no freedom to stray from the beaten path. The Force makes the Star Wars universe a place where Force sensitives know for a fact that fate and destiny are very real concepts.
Through battle, Revan was meeting betrayal with betrayal and showing Malak the pain he had inflicted on his master. What stronger display than death for conveying one's sense of being betrayed by one's own student? Revan's anger must have been great indeed.
To claim to know anything of Revan's choices, or what lay in his heart when Malak fell, is conceit, servant of Atris. And whether Revan had any choice in the matter at all is something else you should consider. The Force is a powerful thing to wield, or deny.
But to say that seems an untruth based on what I know of the Jedi. The Force can drive others, but there is still choice, is there not?
But at what point does the power the Force exerts submerge any attempt at choice or free will? You have taken a complicated question, servant of Atris, and you have trivialized it with your answer and lack of experience.
If there is no choice in the Force, then our teachings and our actions are for nothing, and I refuse to believe that is true.
There are many who believe, as the Handmaiden does, that the Force must be a wholly benevolent entity, that even with all its power, it would simply allow us to have an appropriate amount of choice and freedom. This is why I'm glad that, as far as I can tell, there is no such force in our universe. Because if there was, and my life was governed by fate and predetermined, our teachings and actions would indeed be meaningless. And in an effort to avoid falling into nihilism, I too refuse to believe that it's true. In Star Wars, the Force flows through all living things. From the moment you are born to the day you die, it's there, with or without your consent. The Jedi exile was a miracle.
It is said that the Force has a will. It has a destiny for us all. I wield it, but it uses us all, and that is abhorrent to me, because I hate the Force. I hate that it seems to have a will, that it would control us to achieve some measure of balance when countless lives are lost.
Kreia isn't an agent of chaos because she opposes the Force. Kreia wanted the entire galaxy to be able to live like the Jedi exile. She wanted freedom. She wanted the galaxy to have the freedom to create their own order. And to have freedom, you need chaos. And that's why in this instance, with the plan she had in mind, I consider Kreia to be an agent of chaos. Victory between the forces of order and chaos was never the point. Balance between them was. Like I said at the beginning, we as sapient beings create order for our own sake. But this sense of order must not be dictated for us. We have to produce it ourselves. Chaos and order must coexist, and one cannot gain supremacy over the other. And yes, I know, this creates a dynamic of a never-ending fight, but this is how it has to be.
It is conflict that strengthens us, and isolation that weakens us, erodes us. Where once the lost and disposed were trapped there, now they will struggle and grow.
As an example, we can take racism, bigotry, or any kind of prejudice. People have fought against these in various societies and in various different ways. But the truth is that we will never be able to fully eradicate them. Even if every human being stopped being prejudiced against one another on the basis of ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, etc., we will always find some other reason. But what's truly important is that we never cease our fight against it, lest it grow to an extreme. But stay wary, because that same fight against prejudice, that striving for order, can in itself lead to an extreme. Thus, a balance should be the desired outcome. In his book, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Ernest Hemingway wrote, the world is a fine place and worth fighting for, much like Morgan Freeman's character in the film Seven, I agree with the second part.